process. First of all, my name is Steve McClinton. I chair the committee as well as my co-chair, Kurt Posey. In the interest of time, we'll do it this way. We will, before we introduce the candidate, after the candidate gives an open statement, we'll start with Council Member Driver, go on down to ask for questions, and we'll finish with Council President Latta. Ms. Taylor, if you would take that. First of all, I want to tell you thank you for walking into the Lions Den and going to the arena, because if you will know, it takes a lot of guts to do what you want to do. It's a thankless job. There's no pay. There's no kudos. There's no thank yous. But you're doing it, I know, because you care about our children's education. And you should know on this up here, you have 4 people who applied for school board. Only one of us made it. So again, we applaud you because, again, it takes people like you that want to step up and make things right and make things better. So I heard you have an opening statement.
I do, if that's fine with the council.
Please proceed.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Rachel Taylor, and just first and foremost, it is an honor to be here. I've dreamed of one day serving on a local school board, and later I hope to serve as an attorney for a local board of education. I have a degree in elementary education from Auburn, and I clerked for 2 years at the State Board of Education, wherein I gained experience writing education legislation for the state and helped the State Board of Education's General Counsel prepare for state board meetings, as well as attended and adjudicated teachers' licenses. I gained insight on how the various levels of education must work together to provide the best possible education for not just the state, but for local school districts. As a lawyer, I've managed hundreds of cases, and I was responsible for the expenses, client bills, and budgets. Presently, I work for Brookwood Baptist Health. I take care of their 4 hospitals in the area, and I'm responsible for probably about 50 or so multi-million-dollar contracts. And I'm also responsible for making sure the contracts, that all the terms are in compliance with applicable law. And then I'm also have to make sure the proposed compensation structure is consistent with fair market value. So personally, I love to interact with the public. I love people, and I absolutely thrive in that setting when I'm serving as a leader. I created the local Bluff Park Women's Kickball League and formed the nonprofit organization Bluff Park Women's Rec League. This organization allows us to serve at-risk children in the community. We have plans to help with Fresh Air Farm. I know they have a camp in the summer. We want to provide lunches. We want to create collegiate scholarships for at-risk students in the neighborhood. So we have big plans with that. And I'm the board's lawyer, and I'm also part of the executive committee. So through this, I understand the value of building a better community. Through these leagues, I provided a safe place for local residents to create and improve relationships with neighbors. This league has served as an avenue to support local businesses, through sponsorships. So a strong and interactive community sets the stage for successful and productive individuals. And this applies to education too. So I know that an effective education system is directly correlated to a prosperous city. As a Hoover City School parent, I have firsthand knowledge of how successful and wonderful this school district is. So my 12-year-old son, he has thrived within these schools, especially within the classrooms, with our marvelous teachers, and through the diverse extracurricular activities. He's become a better person in character and in academics. He's been provided with so many opportunities and is an astonishing young man, and I have Hoover City Schools to thank for that. So I want to be on the ground level. I want to help mold local policy procedures in such a way that Hoover City Schools continues to remain fruitful. I want to take part in improving an already amazing school system. I want to know I made a difference. I'm tenacious, full of moxie, and I'm passionate about education. I'm in the midst of raising a Hoover City School student, and I'm intimately connected to what's going on. So I'm truly invested in all of these outcomes. So if allowed the opportunity to serve on the board, my background, experience, and propensity for leadership makes me the optimal candidate. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Chair recognizes Council Member Driver.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Taylor, thank you so much for your application and your willingness to serve in this way. Your resume was very impressive. I especially enjoyed your writing style. I thought that was very well done. And one of the things that I noticed you mentioned throughout was a survey that you conducted.
Yes.
Would you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so I went to Max's former teachers at Bluff Park Elementary, Simmons, and then they connected me with some high school students. So it was about 10 to 15 teachers, and I just had a survey that said, you know, what are you happy with the schools? What would you feel would be improved? And do you have any other issues you would bring to the city council? And so the number one issue, vast majority, I'd say 95% were very happy. You know, they have a great employable environment. It was the paraprofessionals that are brought in by the third-party company that we hire. They lack the experience in an educational setting. So teachers are having to divert important quality instruction time to teach these paraprofessionals how to work in the classroom. But other than that, I mean, they absolutely enjoyed it, but that was the number one complaint. The second thing is they want to see us in the classroom. And I say us. If I'm there, they would love to see the board in the classroom. They could not remember the last time a board member came, and if they did come, it was a big theatrical performance. So I really feel that if we get it back into the classrooms, we can see how the money is actually being diverted and get a first-person sense of where we could improve.
All right, thank you. What qualities do you think we should be looking for in the next superintendent of schools?
Someone who is able to work collaboratively with the Board of Education. And I think importantly, we should make sure that that person wants to ensure that we have teacher retention. We maintain the quality of the teachers that we have. So it's someone who's open-minded, that's not coming with a preset agenda, who has their own vision. It should be in line with our mission, which is improving excellence in academics as well as character. So as long as the mission that they have is in line with that in decision-making and alongside the board, I think that's someone we would look for. And just someone with experience, not just at one level, you know, but maybe someone with a teacher in different levels of the school, secondary, elementary, and someone who has served in the community, maybe in a board capacity. It's just someone that needs to be well-rounded, that would be able to look at the issues from a broader perspective instead of just, this is what I want to do.
All right. And one more question
Yes,
for
ma'am.
you. Can you give us an example of a time when you had to work with people who had different views and positions than you? And how did you handle that situation? What was the outcome?
So as you can tell, I love the rec leagues in Bluff Park. And so when I started the Women's Kickball League, it's 120 middle-aged women who are all very, very opinionated. So we had started from scratch. So everyone wanted the rule to be this way or that way. But the way I maneuvered that Shark Tank is to make sure that everybody was heard and that I had a committee with me to help me make decisions that were for the better of the league, that were for the purpose of the league. You know, we want to better the community. So it was making sure that I didn't take one person's side or the other. It was making sure I sat firm that our decisions were in line with the purpose. But when you have 120 middle-aged women, I mean, it is a political landmine. So I learned how to do so in a manner in which we were still productive. Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Thank you. Those were my questions. Ms.
Thank you,
Taylor.
Christy. I appreciate it.
Chair recognizes Councilmember Sweeney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I would just like to echo my colleagues' comments. Thank you so much for being willing to serve. So thank you for being here. Just a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
Is there a particular issue that motivates you to want to serve on the board?
It is, once I heard the teacher survey and they want us back in the classroom, I just think that is so vital. Our face needs to be out there. And of course, there's the big issue, the elephant in the room, the new high school. I would love to have some sort of impact for future generations. I know that's not something that's going to happen within the next year or two, but I would love to be able to have part of that and then make sure our faces and our marketing is more directed towards the teacher and the people. Instead of just sitting here, I know we don't have a lot of time, but I want to get back in there. I love people, and I want them to see that we're there for them, especially the teachers, because at the end of the day, they're most important. They're the ones who are going to provide the quality education to our children.
Thank you. Could you support a board decision that you did not vote in favor of? Why or why not?
It all goes back, does that decision support the mission of Hoover City Schools? Like I said, I have a lot of moxie, and I'm known for speaking my opinion. And I would do so in a manner in which comes off as respectful. But I would have to make sure, at the end of the day, would this decision better the students? It's always in the best interest of the students, you know, just like family law. Will this help the children, or will this be ineffective? So I would, if needed to be, if I knew that it was going to disadvantage the children. Mhm.
Okay.
But again, I'd work collaboratively as best as possible, because that's the purpose of the board.
Okay. Last question. What is your vision for education in Hoover?
We're doing so well. I will say, statistically, for reading and math, we're a little behind Vestavia, Mountain Brook. So I would love to somehow look at the policy and procedures to increase those numbers. We did increase 11% for those at grade level or higher. So we're doing better in that regard, but that math and English, I think we really need to focus on. Those are very big skills. So I would love to have a part in that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Sam, I appreciate it.
Chair recognizes Councilmember Murphy, the only council member ever to make Board of Education.
Oh, there we go, all right.
So, I have 3 questions.
Yes, sir.
I want to say between,
There we go. Thank you, Chairman. So 3 questions, and I think my numbers are correct. From 2014 to current state, the school system had roughly 5 superintendents, if you include interims, okay? Mathematically, the staff members stayed 20-plus years.
Yes, sir.
That's a great change. So, and that happens in leadership. And I respect chain of command, things of nature. How would you create an environment where you can learn as a board member from staff that, again, there's going to be that 20-plus years without causing friction with the superintendent?
So are we talking about teachers, principals, staff?
All staff as related, even down to CPN.
Okay, yes, sir. So again, all my decisions are going to go back to that core mission. And I would make sure, starting with teachers, figuring out what issues there are, going up to the principal, and kind of get a general platform and idea of what's going on, so we know the environment. We understand what we're facing. So there, we can go as a board collectively and in line with the superintendent, and we could make those collective decisions. But it would need to be, I wouldn't go in there, you know, like an elephant. I would take my time to understand exactly what's going on. I have a sister-in-law who's a teacher, 2 sisters who are teachers, and I understand those issues they face on a daily basis. So I would want to make sure whatever the superintendent's agenda is, that they're in line.
Second question I have, how would you support a unpopular decision that may anger parents, but is best for students?
As a passionate parent, in some instances, that's where you come off respectfully. Again, with those women in the kickball league, it's approaching in a respectful manner, trying to explain your point of view, giving due credit to their point of view. It usually de-escalates the situation. So it's understanding that my role, there's gonna be stuff thrown at me, especially from angry parents. And it's just trying to maintain control and create a peaceful environment in any way you can.
All right. And last one, define equity, what it means to you in education.
Equity is the amount of money you've made on the side of something. It's the interest in which you accrue from something. Mm-hmm.
What it means to her.
Ms. Taylor, you know, Hoover City Schools, like the city of Hoover, has always liked to think of itself as an employer of choice. Yet approximately, we're losing talent. across the board. I know because we have good talents like Nick Saban, they want to grab us coaches. I get that. But I think last year we probably lost close to 30 units or teachers. And I'm someone that believes that we should have more boots on the ground because parents want to have what? A great student to teacher ratio. As a board member, what's your philosophy on how we retain and go after great talent?
Well, we show, we show what we're doing right, okay? And we present that to potential employees. We show them how we are above and beyond other ones. We have the diverse educational extracurricular activities. Our budget is doing mildly well. There would be, and I know the teacher salary was raised this past year, so there is that incentive. But it's giving them the incentives of a positive, peaceful environment and show that they can make a difference. Because I know when I went into elementary education, as a lot of other people did, is they wanted to make a difference. So show them that this is the environment in which to do so. As a board member, they need to feel supported by us. They need to have the superintendent have their back. So I think that as a teacher in those schools, we show them that they are supported. If they have issues, they will be genuinely heard.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilmember Posey.
Thanks, sir. I will, like everyone else, thank you for applying. You have a very impressive resume, and as a Bluff Park resident since birth, I'm very excited to see the kickball league and what you've done with it. It's very cool.
I'm glad there's another one of us.
Yeah, I just hung around, I think. I'm going to ask you 3 questions. The first one's very simple. How
Yes,
many
sir.
board meetings have you attended this year?
Probably about 5. I do them online. My son started competitive soccer,
Yes,
and we did not understand the links in which we would have to go to attend practices. And those are on Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. So I always catch them online.
That's good. I'm glad that they offer them
Yeah,
online and we're
they
able to
do.
watch.
They have the agenda posted. You can see the agenda on there, the business actions, and then the recognitions in the beginning. Yes, sir.
The next 2 are financial related, because I think that, the one thing that sets apart a school district in the state of Alabama based on funding is local funding. Local dollars make the difference in the school system. I read an article today, and I actually had a short discussion with Mike Shaw, who used to be a member of our city council, who's now a state rep, about this Price Act that's looking to be passed, which is going to allow tax dollars to be taken from city schools and applied to private schools. And it's something that school choice has been going on for a while in Alabama, and it's one of these things where, whether it's whatever session, every session that it goes in, it's eventually going to be passed. How do you see, if you become a board member, Hoover City Schools competing with and keeping pace with a private school? Because I think, you have a very large one in Hoover that there's some land over there where there could be a high school program. Yes. So how do you ensure that our school system keeps pace with these private schools and we don't lose tax dollars to private schools? I know we'll lose some if this passes, but we don't see an abundance of tax dollars going to private schools because of curriculum and because of the quality of education.
Okay. Like I stated before, Hoover City Schools, so many people moved to this neighborhood or this area in order to receive this education. I know we had the Alabama Accountability Act in which there was vouchers for private schools. And I think that if you are part of a failing school, then you should be given a voucher to a private school. I did go to private school, and my brother went to public school, and he ended up getting a better education than I did. It's just the way it turned out. We would need to make it look at the budget. We need to see exactly where we can cut costs in a manner in which it's not going to become disadvantageous to the children. I would do some sort of cost analysis, and let's try to figure out, where are we overspending, or are we buying new equipment or new things that we don't need anymore? And again, go back to the teachers. But we need to almost flaunt, Hoover City Schools and their accomplishments, because we are doing good. And if we boost up those reading and math numbers, we would have that on our resume. But even the parent satisfaction, and Natasha Flowers did that survey, and it was 92% of parents are very satisfied. So if we put something, present that to the other parent, or to parents, prospective parents, I think that would be a good way to go.
It's a good answer. The second question is part financial and will also pull on your legal expertise.
Here we go.
In 2014, Department of Justice came down and the NAACP came down, and Hoover is under the desegregation cases under that order, and we are coming upon 10 years. I will say the school system has done a great job and has put a lot of dollars forward to trying to prove these green factors, which, as you know, looking at them right here, I don't see many that have not been proven, and
Yes, sir.
honestly weren't proven when I was at Berry High School at that time. At what point, from a legal expertise and from a financial expertise, a financial thought of the dollars going into this, do you go back to the drawing board and go to the judge and say, hey, can we look at a summary judgment and probably an appellate process? Because 10 years is a long time.
It is, yes, sir.
To wait when you see school systems like Vestavia that got unitary status in a couple months. I mean, Hoover's done a good job of proving their case. It's just, at what point in time do you sit down with the other board members and say, hey, look, we're not getting anywhere. Let's go to the judge. Let's try to get a ruling, and let's go the appellate route to try to, if the ruling's not in our favor, get this resolved for the people of this city and the students of this city.
Yes, sir. And I believe you would go back to the origins of that case. It was about splintering districts and reorganizing districts in such a way that it promoted segregation. So the order also says that we have to, as a community or school district, is prove that we did these factors in a good faith effort. And that, in a legal standard, I mean, that's not the hardest thing to do. You can get great evidence-based support, especially in our schools. We have so many diverse, so many diverse programs. I know my son has, non-English speaking students in his classroom with bilingual teachers, but it's going to the court and saying, hey, we have done this. Here's what we can show. In good faith, we have tried, and I don't think Hoover City Schools had the intention of splitting school zones, for the purpose of segregation. So again, go back to that, plus the fact that we have done this good faith effort for the student assignment, the teacher assessments, the transportation, the facilities, and faculty. And we can definitely show we've done a good faith effort towards that. Definitely in our recruitment and our extracurricular activities that we offer, we definitely could show that and move forward with a summary judgment.
Chair recognizes Council President Lyda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Taylor, 2 questions,
Yes, sir.
if I may. I'm going to ask you to give a grade, A through F, to our current school board on how they navigated the COVID pandemic in terms of policy. You don't know, but I'll tell you, each of us have children in Hoover City Schools, just
Yes.
like you do. So like you, we watched the board as they made decisions that impacted our children in schools, and we all had very passionate opinions on those decisions being made, as all parents did. So A through F, how they do, and if you give them anything less than an A, what could they have done different to raise their grade?
Okay, I would say a B+. Perfection in that type of situation is going to be rare to impossible. I believe that the school board did a great job in looking at the end goal, which is to make sure the students were safe and were still able to learn in the best way possible. I know we did we did homeschool for my son who has a medical condition. So having that option was great. So in that regard, they did good. They really, how are you going to navigate something that's once in a lifetime? So I would say a B+. We could have, the parents just got very ignited. It was just so many factors going into it, but I'm not going to give anybody an A because that's, in my mind, that's perfection. So B+, handled it very well, and I don't know if I would change anything per se because it worked out for us and most of my son's friends. Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Thank you. And my final question, and you talked about a third high school tonight. You also talked about it in your application questions. You seem convinced that a third high school is needed. You probably know that we've had declining enrollment in Hoover City Schools over the last couple of years.
Yes.
Hoover City Schools themselves has said we're at least 10 years away from a third high school. So walk us through your rationale on why you think we need a third one.
Okay. If you look at Spain Park, the school population's over a little bit over 1,000, and we're at Hoover High School are pushing close to 3,000. Given the growth population trend, and I think from the decrease in the earned units from 2021, I believe that's effective COVID. I think some people sought other places, private schools. I know I heard other parents saying, we don't agree with what the board did, so we're gonna take our kids elsewhere, private school, so we had less earned units. But I think, like I said, it's not gonna be something done in my tenure, but I would love to set the stage financially so that we, future board members, have the opportunity financially to look into that.
Very good, thank you.
Well, Ms. Taylor, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You did a great interview. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your passion, your commitment. And if you don't have any other questions, we are
I
done.
do not. Mm-mm.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.